I think we'll get started. I don't know if we have, I know Megan Bradford said that she wasn't going to be able to make it. She has something for work that took priority, but we are recording, just FYI. So I think we'll get started if everybody's good with that. I wanted to, hold on. Well, the chickens sidetracked me and now I wasn't as prepared as I thought. Hold on. There we go. So you guys should all see a slide for professional development training for today. Well, there we go. Our agenda today is we're going to do short connections, touch base. We have a couple people in here that didn't come to the in-person training, so you may not, well, actually, I think Nathan and Cam are the only ones who were able to make it in person. Tabitha and Tygina, you came in via Zoom a little bit, but I want you all to meet each other and connect a little bit. I have some announcements, and then we are going to talk a little bit about Canva best practices. This was something that was requested at the in-person training as something that some of you all wanted. And even if that is not something you thought you wanted, it can be really helpful. So we're going to welcome Emma Jackson. She's going to join us in a few minutes. And she is the COO of the Idea Farm in Danville, Kentucky, which is a marketing and advertising agency. So she is going to talk to us not very long about kind of best practices using Canva and marketing if you're trying to kind of reach out in your positions to students, faculty, staff, or whatever. And then I hope that you all received the email or read it that hopefully if you have made things in the past, to bring a couple of those, and we will put you in small groups and do some small group critiquing based on what she mentioned, and then we'll close up. I think at the closing, if there are any questions, we'll wait until the very end if there are any questions not related to announcements or anything, so that we can stay on time for Emma, because she's going to pop in and then pop out. So if that sounds all okay to you. Oh, I forgot connections. So I was curious, since I've talked to a couple of you in the recent past, but not for a while. So now that you are all have been in your positions for at least a couple months now, I wanted us to introduce ourselves again, name, college, what department you're in at your college, but then share a challenge you've had in your position, and then one thing you're really proud of, or a win you've had, or you feel like you've had since you started. So Megan is joining us. So I'm going to start in order on my screen. Marcia, Tabitha, and Nathan.
Okay, you're still sharing your screen. So
I know, I'm working on it. I always forget. There we go.
I was going to say, I'm Marcia Nadine, and I'm not today. I'm at home today. See the mess. Nathan, see the tomatoes and the peppers. My garden's still giving me tomatoes and peppers, and I've got that part blocked off so that my chickens can get in. I've got my chicken pen and my garden with an adjoining fence, and I've got the tomatoes and peppers blocked off. So they're in the other part right now because I'm still picking. And I'm not willing to give up tomatoes. The peppers, yeah, maybe, but anyway, I'm at West Kentucky and I work in the online learning office. I generally don't work with students. I work with faculty. I'm technically an instructional designer, and I help them. Originally, it was to migrate whatever from the old Blackboard to the new Blackboard. And now we're working on trying to bring the level of their online courses up. We've got a mandate from the system that they need to improve their success rate, and to improve the classes is going to improve the success rate. So in the last year, I took my own class and redid it, submitted it to Blackboard for the exemplary course program, and I won the award. So now when they say, well, how do you know this? What do you, I've got it. I can show them this cute little circle. So that's the challenge, is just getting people to say, yeah, I will redo my class, because that's a big challenge. I've done it this way forever. Yeah, I know. That's me.
Thank you, Marcia. Tabitha, Nathan, and then Tygina.
I mean, I can go. My name is Tabitha Skaggs. I work at Ashland Community Technical College within Student Support Services, admissions, recruitment, food pantry. I do a lot of things here. I was actually just doing a tour of 45, I need to write that down, 45 students from a local high school, starting from freshmen to seniors. I have done that quite often since I started doing AmeriCorps. Just trying to give students the options and not just what they hear is a trade or something they should go into. I feel like I have a pretty good relationship with the students that I come in contact with. I feel like I'm a pretty good leader, you know, I influence people. I make the environment very fun here at ACTC. I think my challenges are students just trying to, their study habits or time management, you know, trying to tell them how to do that exactly, because they're not used to taking on things. And if some things are just too much, well, let's try to figure out something, you know, to manage your time a little bit better and not to give up on your dreams, you know. Not everybody's path is exactly the way a program says it's going to be, because what might take someone 2 years to do doesn't mean the other person can do that. You know, it might be 3 or 4 years. That's what I try to tell them, but at least they're achieving those goals. It's small goals that achieve bigger goals. So I don't know. That's my everything in a nutshell, I guess.
Thanks, Tabitha.
You're welcome.
Okay, Nathan, Tygina, and Catherine.
Hey everybody, I hope you can hear me. I'm at Center College. My name is Nathan Whitlock, and I work in the Office of Civic and Community Engagement. So largely I'm focused on helping students incorporate service into their extracurricular life, and actually finding opportunities and community partners, and encouraging student organizations and students to form long-term relationships with folks in Danville. And let's see. Oh, okay. So something that I've struggled with is planning is really hard, especially when you're juggling like multiple projects at once. But on the student end of things, being able to effectively communicate enough in advance so that students understand what's going on, that's been really challenging. And so it's something I'm still working on. A success we have had is sort of, I would say, like the diversity of opportunities for service. I've been really proud of how our office has managed to pull together so many projects. So we've had cemetery cleanups in historically neglected African-American cemeteries here in Danville. And we're also planning a flood relief service trip to Eastern Kentucky over fall break with the help of Kentucky Campus Compact. So yeah.
Great. Tygina, Catherine, and Cam.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Tygina Rogers. I am at Kentucky State University. I work under the Cooperative Extension and Community Resource. So I also wear a bunch of different hats. I do like grad applications, updates, and email them and try to get them motivated to apply, and do a whole bunch of different things in that system. I also work with like different community members and students, and then as well as the staff at Kentucky State and whatever they need me to do in either of those departments. Right now, I'm currently working on a community Voices program that they want to start. So I've been doing like a bunch of different presentations and trying to get the students to participate and things of that nature. So excuse me, I'm driving right now because right now I'm trying to meet with someone in regards to one of the students' needs. I hang up during the meeting, that's why. One of the challenges that I've faced are just some resources for students here, like with everything that happened with Kentucky State as far as their financial situation. The budget is tight, and then trying to get to the funding that we may need for different projects, it's a little challenging. So we have to step outside of the school in order to get the funding that we need for different things. That's it.
Thank you, Tagina. And if you have to jump off, that's okay. Jump off, do what you need to do. Emma, welcome. We are just doing some connections and then I have some announcements and then we'll get started if that works for you. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, so we have Catherine, Cam, and Megan left.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I work at Bellarmine University for the Center for Community Engagement. I'm a community engagement advisor and I work with multiple groups of students. And that's kind of one of the challenges, is that I oversee so many different programs that like just planning and getting students together could be a challenge. But it's working out pretty well so far. One of our successes, or one of my personal successes, is just connecting with our students and just having like those one-on-one check-ins and just getting to really know our student body. And so that's been really fun.
Thank you. Okay, Cam and Megan.
Hi, I'm Cam. I work at Bellarmine University as well. I am in the Office of Identity and Inclusion, and I am the coordinator for our mentor program, KLC, which is Knights of Color. I'd say a challenge that I've had is probably getting people to accept help early on in the school year and actually using their resources. But one thing I feel like we're successful in, and that we've done a good job this year, is making people feel comfortable and feel like they're at home right off the bat.
Great, thank you. I love your festive background.
Thank you.
And it sounds like Marcia and Cam, even if though you work with different populations, you both have a similar challenge, getting people to accept help and acknowledge that they might need that. Okay, Megan, I know that you were kind of on and off today. I don't know if you're at your phone or at your desk.
Hey.
No. Okay, Megan may have stepped away. I think she was going to join and then be with us when she can. She's doing an event for admissions, so she may be listening or jumping in. So we're just going to skip her for now. I do have a few announcements and I'm going to pull, well, I'll mention it, but I'm going to put some things in the chat that are going to be important. So you should have received your first newsletter. I think right now we're going to do that every other week. But if that seems like too much, we might just switch it to once a month, but we did have some important announcements in there and I want to make sure that you saw that. So the Serve Kentucky launch, I think most of you are going, a few of you I haven't heard from for sure. So if you have not told me whether you're going to the launch or not, then please put in the chat whether you are or not. And if you need a hotel on that Wednesday night. So the launch is Wednesday and Thursday, give me 1 second. I always get dates wrong, as you guys could tell in my email to all of you. The 26th and 27th, I'm putting a link here to the page with the agenda and the information. If you have to leave on Wednesday before 8 a.m. your time, to arrive in time for the first session. So to arrive and register before 12:15, then we will pay for a hotel on Tuesday night if you need it. But I need to know that ASAP. If you're going to need a hotel on Wednesday night, I need to know that too, if you haven't already told me. The other thing we need is for you to register if you're going. So please take a second, pull this up. That link has a registration link on the bottom of that page. Pull it up. I was going to have us all register now, but I don't want to take up too much time with Emma here already. And it asks you to register for the sessions you want to go to. So please, please, please register because we are getting reports and we don't have many of our coaches registered yet. Let's see. The second thing is that in the newsletter, there was a link to ordering gear. Let's see, I'm going to pull that link up too. The deadline is today. There was an extended deadline. Deadline is today to order gear. So you can order up to $70 worth of gear. You can order whatever you want if you want to do that, as long as it's appropriate for work settings. There are some strange things in there like hard hats and things like that you probably don't need. But we're not going to limit you on what you want. Just keep it under 70 and you'll be good to go, and it will ship right to you. So take a moment today, if you haven't ordered your gear, to go ahead and do that. Business cards. So if you feel like you need Kentucky College Coach business cards, please let me know. Send me an email ASAP. We are going to be ordering those and we'll get you some professional looking business cards with your name. What we would need is your preferred name for the cards, your work phone, your work email, and your work physical address, and then we will order those. Let's see, mini grants. So we are opening up mini grants, which usually just are for the high school coaches. We're opening them up for the college coaches this year. So I'm going to share a link to the application in the chat. There are lots of links today. Hold on to this. The deadline to apply is November 30th. So you don't have to do anything with it today, but hold on to this and we'll put it again in the next newsletter as well. So these grants can be used in different ways, and we are willing to be creative with the college level coaches. So the high school level coaches, the grants are for them to take students to go visit colleges. That might be something that the 2-year colleges, that might be useful for you if you feel like you want or need a grant to be able to take students to another college. But the 4 years, probably that's not going to be the case. So we're willing to also be creative with that. So you can apply for funding to support a project related to the work you're doing. Maybe to visit another campus if you wanted to go visit and shadow somebody who's doing something similar to you at another campus. We could maybe support that. If you wanted to put together a group of students to work on some sort of project or to put a workshop on for the campus on something, we might be able to help support that, even up to possibly paying the students for that work. And if there's something else you can think of. So if you'd like to chat about ideas you might have and whether you think that would work or not, just let me know. And if you have questions about any ideas you have, you can either just submit an application or we can chat about it first. One thing to note is that your school must be able to prepay all the expenses and then we reimburse. So that's just something to note. The other thing to note, and Nathan mentioned this, is the alternative service break, though Nathan, I don't think we received any application to support the Eastern Kentucky thing, so we need to talk about that maybe at the end. But we do have an alternative service break funding program available. I run this grant program and we have quite a bit of money to help support alternative service breaks. So that could be over a break period, but it could also be 1 day plunges into the community or working on things related to the community for your campus. And we do have some extra money for disaster relief. So if your campus wanted, or you have a student group or some different office on your campus wanted to go support flood relief in Eastern Kentucky or tornado relief in Western Kentucky, we do have some extra funds for that as well. So I wanted to throw that out there in case you're involved in anything related to that. Okay, I am going to, like, if you have questions about any of that, just hold on to them. We'll talk about it at the end. But I don't want to, we're running a little bit behind and I don't want to take up too much of Emma's time. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about best practices for Canva. That was a request at the in-person training. And so I've invited Emma, who is the COO of the Idea Farm here in Danville, Kentucky, and I'll let Emma introduce herself and tell you a little bit about the Idea Farm, and then she can chat with us about best practices with Canva.
Thank you so much, Mindy. Sorry, I can't change my name on here, so it's just the Idea Farm, but my name is Emma, and as Mindy said, I'm the COO of the Idea Farm. We're an advertising and marketing agency that's located in Kentucky and Indiana, but we service clients all over the US and work with a worldwide team. I have been using Canva for at least 8 years. I tracked it back to at least 8 years of usage. I was one of the first, I was looking for tools in internships in high school and college, and no one had ever heard of Canva before. And I consistently impressed all of my superiors with my amazing graphic design skills, and it was entirely Canva. The cool thing about it is that I am not coming to you as a professional graphic designer. Technically, I have done things where people have paid me. And so, I mean, in that way, I would be professional, but I've never had formal schooling, and I'm not coming to you with, years of education. I'm coming to you with how to use a tool that is very user-friendly and that anyone can learn how to use. So I want to start, and Mindy, if there's any time where you want to jump in or redirect, but there are a few categories of design things. So we do, part of our business, we design websites and logos. We do branding kits for companies, pretty much anything that you can imagine, social media graphics. We run digital ads, and we actually put together graphics for our clients as well. Canva is a huge part of what we do. We work with professional graphic designers for print materials, for several high-end specific things, but Canva can do a whole lot. And I want to teach you some tips and tricks to make sure that you're getting the most professional quality content out of Canva possible. And let's see, this is being recorded, right? Actually, I know it is because I popped in. Okay. No, I was just checking to make sure it's being recorded because I would love to get this later. Okay, so there are, with design in mind, there are 3 big categories of design tools that you want to take care of in every single thing that you do. First off, it would be fonts, colors, and then sizing and spacing. So my guess is that each one of you is working for predominantly one organization, but say you are working for multiple different companies or multiple different organizations, you should have a different brand kit for each one of those companies. There's a likelihood that there's not a brand kit currently in existence, and you get to help create one if that's the case, because it's really, really important that your brand, your company, your organization comes across as professional and consistent. And a consistent brand means that you have the same color scheme, you have the same fonts, and you follow the same sort of rules. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't occasionally deviate, but you have a baseline, you have a foundation. And that means that most of the material you put out, it will feel like your organization. And that helps create this whole brand story. So if we're starting from scratch and you don't have brand guidelines, you don't know where to start, and you are creating a graphic or a newsletter or a template, the best place to start is fonts and colors. So I like to think of fonts as personalities, right? So most people don't know, but You want to have 3 fonts in most major documents. You want to have a heading, a subheading, and then a body text. I'm going to share with you all a recent brand kit that we did for a client. I'll just pull it up right within Canva because we built it entirely within Canva. Let's see. This is actually a nonprofit out of Harrodsburg, Kentucky. And they needed a brand kit because they didn't have consistency. So it was a combination of ways in which that we could display their logo, right? So you have their main logo, you have alternative logos, you have their color palette, their font guide, and then brand assets, things that really encompass so that in one page, you can really get a feel for what this organization is all about. Now, the font guide over here is really great because putting fonts together when you're deciding, is this going to look good? I don't really know. You know, we like to have a visual so that you can see. So we have a large heading font, a subheading, and a paragraph. Most people's mistakes are that they have the same font for all 3 of these, and they just change the size or they make one bold. And you can get away with that sometimes, but usually having a combination of a serif font and a sans serif font. So sans serif, they don't have the little curly cues, and serif has the curly cues. That's really pleasing to the eye, right? It helps us distinguish, oh, I can read the heading and it's different than the subheading and it's different than the paragraph. And so these are the fonts that we ended up choosing for the client. Now, you may say, I have no idea how to choose fonts. This is already above and beyond difficult for me. And that's where I say, don't reinvent the wheel. Pinterest, as well as Canva already, I'll just point out, if you go to text, Canva does some stuff with font pairings, but not a lot. So your best friend is actually going to be to use Pinterest to help you with font pairings. So one of my favorite things to do is to go to Pinterest to look up something like elegant font pairings, okay? Just to get inspiration. And it's gonna pull up different fonts, different headings, different subheadings, so that you can see someone else has already curated this. Ooh, I like this one. Or no, you know, I like the one down here. And it gives you a frame of reference. And then you can go to Canva and you can match fonts. I also love to search, you know, say like free retro fonts, because if you have Canva Pro, you can actually download free fonts on the internet and upload them onto Canva. But it also has the whole Google font library. So this is really fun. I'm working, you know, I work with a brand that had very much a retro feel to it. And we were looking at matching that retro feel of the brand to the fonts, because fonts tell a story. If you're Times New Roman, you know, what do you think of? You think of an academic paper, right? But if you're thinking of Comic Sans, okay, you know, it's a little less professional, right? So the font that you choose also tells about the brand. Is it elegant? Is it professional? Is it fun? Is it playful, modern, retro? You get to decide that, and use Pinterest to help you, because trust me, people have already done the work, and you can just take inspiration and then bring that back over to Canva. So that's my biggest thing on fonts, is if, you know, if possible, to choose 3, to choose a heading, a subheading, and a paragraph, and be consistent about those. Once again, if you have Canva Pro, okay, which it is one of the best investments I would recommend, you can actually create a brand kit where you can upload your logos. You can switch between, if you have multiple organizations, it'll allow you to upload or choose logos, colors, and fonts, so that I can hop into each one of these brands, and my logos and my fonts and my colors are already geared up for usage, which is super, super helpful. So I want to like provide, rather than just throwing a ton of information at people just on fonts. Does anyone have any questions? And it's okay if you don't. Awesome. Okay, so then we're going to talk about colors. And colors is the same sort of thing. Consistency of colors is really important. Let's see. Yeah, so consistency of colors is really important. And something that can happen a lot is, even if you have a brand kit, it may just be colors and you don't know how to use them and you try to match the best color, don't do that. Nope, we are past that. We are going to be using exact color codes. So Canva allows you to pick color codes, okay? And it's really, really great. There's a few different ways that you can do this. You can upload an image to Canva and it'll just tell you, oh, you can pick a color from a photo, for example. So let's see, if we click here, you'll be able to see the color here, and you can see if you click this plus, that's the color code of that image, of that background. And I've placed them all here, but it's the same thing. So you click on any block that is colored and you hit the plus button and you're going to see that color code. So that means every time you want that exact color, I reference this document or I have it written down so that I can put that color code in, and it's going to be that exact gray. A really good tip that I use all the time, right? Because I'm using free little tools to help me. Say you are working with a brand or you have to match the color for a logo and you only have a screenshot. Like you have no idea what color code it is. They put it up on the internet somewhere. I use this tool called Color Code Finder, and it's HTML colorcodes.info, right? It's a super basic situation, but it allows you to upload. I'm going to use a screenshot from one of my team members and say I want the background color. It provides me the color code right there. I can copy that color code. I can come back in here and let's see, I'm going to duplicate this and say I want to change the talking points text color. Document colors, I hit add new color and I'm just pasting my color code. And that blue is the exact same as that background. So I will send this link to Mindy because that is one of my most useful tools for quickly matching colors and just making sure that they are consistent, because that's one of the easiest ways that you can make sure that your brand looks professional. Because if you compare side by side and this blue is a little bit off and this red is not quite the same, that's going to make it look really unprofessional. Any questions on colors? Okay, so one other thing with colors is, once again, okay, say you do have a brand kit and you have a couple of colors, but you're still like, you want to branch out, you want to do something more, you're creating a graphic and there needs to be multiple colors and your company only has 2, or, how do you decide what colors look good together? Some people naturally can just pull it out and they know. Most of us are not like that, right? And that's, once again, where I say we go to Pinterest. A perfect example, and I would say I'm pretty creatively minded, but my company's colors are just unique. They're not super common colors. So we have kind of an emerald, like a forest green. And that was pretty much it. That was like all I was left with. And then I want to create materials like business cards and, pamphlets and things that have other colors, secondary and tertiary colors. But I wasn't sure, honestly, what would look really good with an emerald green. So I went over to my best friend Pinterest and I literally looked up emerald green color palettes. And I just started looking what colors go really well together. So many of these already have their color codes listed, but if not, now you know the tool. I could just screenshot this color swatch, go over to my best friend over here, the HTML color code website, and find out exactly what those colors are. So I'm seeing a lot of yellows. I'm seeing some really cool colors that I probably wouldn't have found on my own that would actually pair really nicely. And now it just disappeared. I'm going to say color palette. Let's do red. And I mean, you can do pretty much anything that you want. And a lot of people have already put things together. So that gives you an idea. You can look up fall color palette. You can look up color palette with turquoise. And it's just a really great resource for inspiration. So that's where I would put you with fonts and colors. And do you have, before I go on, are there any questions on colors? Sweet. Okay, next up is the thing I see the most, because it's hard to, you just don't think about it, which is, I would say, sizing and spacing. consistency of sizing and spacing is super, super important, especially when you're putting together a document that has a lot of information. And the last thing that you want is for the information to be crowded or too small to actually understand. And there's some graphic elements that we can put into play to make it easier for our minds to go through lots of information. For the most part, unless it's a Word document, we don't want to just have paragraphs of text on a graphic document ever. It's really hard for people to read. They get bored. So how do you present a lot of information in a visually pleasing way? First off, you need to have a consistent font size. So your headings need to be one size, your subheadings need to be one size, your paragraphs need to be one size, and that needs to not change. The spacing in between items needs to be consistent and probably more than you think. So just, I would just a little bit more. And in Canva, you can just kind of free drag things around, which is great, but that also means that you can end up crowding elements together in a way that's really hard to understand. So I'm going to show you a fact sheet that we did for an organization. This is all, lorem ipsum filler content, but they had a whole bunch of data that they wanted to display in a really simple fact sheet for their team. And we kept thinking, how do we do this in a way that's really easy to visually understand? Because the first go at it, I wish I had it because I had our interns try. It was just a whole bunch of information and a whole bunch of statistics and not much color, nothing that really helped piece it together. But this was what we came up with for the final fact sheet. So as you can see, we have used the blue and white colors to color block different sections of the document. That helps break up the information on day one, right? It's so much easier to read because, okay, there's just space and it's actually created a little bit of a division. Then we wanted to make sure everything was really readable. So there's not anything that's very small. That's something that people will often do is they'll put stuff that's just really tiny and you think about it. And unless it's a digital document and people can really zoom in, you need people to be able to read the information. We also use color. We use color and sizing and spacing to make a huge difference. So I added this little graphic blue triangle just because there was two pieces of information that seemed like a visually interesting way to show it rather than just side by side or over top. And it gives you something to look at. Adding graphics, little people, the hat, the cross, it just helps to break things up. So it's not just numbers and words, right? We're visual people. And then down here, to make sure that it's not the exact same, they also had this fantastic yellow as part of their color palette. So we use that as a way to show some big statistics. And there's some small things that we did, right? So the 100, these numbers have a little bit of a background effect going on. So Canva has a lot of cool tools like this. So if I just put it none, that's fine, but it feels a little flat. And sometimes it's really nice to add some dimension to an item. I could have, done the same down here. It just felt like it was going to give it a little bit of body. Here we created this graphic. I just put Kentucky. I, went to the elements panel, which is your best friend. I looked up Kentucky and I found one where I could just change the color and match it. And that's how we put together this information. And as you can see, we really focused on making sure that the spacing between sections was as consistent as it could possibly be. And that there's a white border so that for printing, it would work really well. And that is a good example of how you can put together a lot of information. And this is another one where there's even more information because it was a list of all their locations and their team and their contact info. We did just a little bit to show an easier way to break it up so that it's not just text on top of text, right? And once again, that spacing is super important. Originally, a lot of this was more crowded together and it just made it harder to read and to understand. So that's my thoughts on spacing and sizing and the importance of consistency and breaking things up. Does anyone have any questions on that?
I have a question. So when you guys are professionals at this, but how often do you use the templates that have already been created and adapt those?
So all the time, actually. So that I have like a little, I wanted to talk about my tips and tricks for Canva because there's some really, really cool things.
Well, then I won't ask any more questions. I'll let you do
No,
that.
you're fine. I would recommend pretty much always start with the template. Now, what I say is start with a template, right? You don't have, there are times where the template has everything you need, and that's totally great. But I'll give you a really good example. This here, let me share my screen. So this brand kit that I created for this client is loosely based off of a brand kit that was already in existence. So I'm going to add a blank page. You can see that this comes up for brand board recommendations. You know, I will often mix and match. So I'm going to replace this page. I'm going to look at this. Do you see this section, how this is laid out? And then you come up here and how this is laid out. I use that template. I mean, a lot of it is already done for you, but what I did was I changed the colors, I organized things, I added some things that made sense. Specifically, you know, I added in the mission and vision because the client, you know, we wanted to have that there for our clients. We respaced, we adjusted some things, but I think why reinvent the wheel? Use what is here because Canva has phenomenal templates, but it needs to match your brand, your style, your consistency, all of those kind of things. But there are a lot of really, really cool things that Canva has already created. They also have elements that they've created. They have stickers, they have, you know, if you're doing social media stuff and you can actually create animations, you can create movement and save them as little videos or GIFs. That's just awesome. So I would say about templates is 100% use them, but don't just stick in a photo or change the text. See if you can actually take a template, but make sure the fonts are the same as your brand, the colors, you know, and then change a few things up here and there so that it feels unique and it feels a little bit more individual. I wanted to show you an example of how a very small change can make a big graphic difference. This was for an ad that we are running for a client. One of my team members put this together and sent it to me. And she's like, what do you think about it? And I was like, okay, well, the information is there. The font's easy to read. The colors are his colors. Great. But it felt a little bit boring, right? A little bit flat. So all I did is I added a background photo. And suddenly, and with like a dark overlay, and suddenly it just feels a little bit more modern and more professional. And there's more for our eye to gravitate towards. But most importantly, the background photo does not distract from the information. That's the other thing that people will often do is they'll put something really bold in the background and then you just cannot read what is going on in the foreground. So that is, that's that. And then I wanted to show you a few of my favorites. I think it's here. Ooh, no, let me share another screen I have because I want to show you a few of my favorite tips and tricks that maybe you all know and maybe you don't about Canva. Let's see. So, okay, let's just take, actually, let's take this. All right, so this is a graphic that I just uploaded. I just uploaded a file. I threw it in here. There's a lot of things that you can do with it. You can edit, you can crop, you can flip, you can animate, you know, a lot of cool stuff, right? But if I hit edit, this is what's really, really cool. Aside from filters, tools, you know, blah, 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 we have this smart mockup panel. So smart mockups, just put your image into this image. So for example, let's try the laptop. It'll take its time. It doesn't always work out super well, but it usually puts it together into a really, really nice visual display. I bet it's because I'm screen sharing.
Is it sent to the back? Sometimes when you do that, it like puts the background.
No, it just struggled. It just struggled. let's see, here we go. I'll do it one more time. But yeah, so this is, I would say that smart mockups and frames are one of my favorite tools for making something look really, really professional. Let's see, now it's doing it. So I'll wait. Perfect. It's a little finicky sometimes. You got to work with it. So check it out now. Ooh, wow, you have this and it's already put together in this frame. You can, extend it to the edge of the canvas and you can post that as a social media post. Another thing that you can do, so something I like to do with that is you just need to make sure that your frame fits. So I'm not going to take this photo and I'm not going to put it into a phone frame, because if I do, only a tiny little bit is going to show, right? But the laptop frame, oh, that's perfect, like it looks really nice. It looks professional. It's there. You can put it down here. And now look, there's the website that we've done. So smart frames and smart mockups and frames are one of my favorite things to do, not only to put things in phones and laptops and stuff, but also if you want to show how something might look on a mug or a business card or a t-shirt, it already does that information for you, which is super, super nice. Let's see. And then the other thing is the photo library on Canva. It's all royalty free. And that's a really big deal. So if you're paying for Canva Premium, so the free version, still you have access to a photo library. It's just not all of the photos. But if you're paying for Premium, literally anything. I mean, it is. So we subscribe to several different stock photo websites. We also have, I knew all the royalty-free websites, and that means that you can use those photos, right? You can't just pull a photo from Google. You can't just say, oh, let me find something, let me Google it and put it onto something, because you do not own the rights to that image. But everything in Canva, you can use, you can publicize, you don't have to provide credit. That's huge. And those images are high quality. They're really, really nice. So I would highly suggest using the photo library, using elements. One of my favorite things to do is, photo overlays. So you have a photo in the background, then you have like a darker or a lighter background, like a foreground, so that you can actually put text on it, like I showed with that image. And it's not rocket science, Find photos that really match your brand. Stock photos don't have to feel like stock photos. I know that a lot of organizations may not have the budget for a photographer, or the photos you have are not the best. So what are photos that you can find on Canva that can make it feel professional and also personable? We do that for a lot of our clients. Maybe they don't have the budget, or they just don't have really good photos for what we're trying to display. So we use the stock photo library to fill in the gaps. And those are, Mindy, that's like the big portion of what I wanted to go over. So now I can answer questions or, anything.
Thank you, Emma. Does anybody have questions, comments, or tricks that you've used that maybe Emma didn't mention? Concerns, problems you've come across?
I've tried to make stuff in the past with some courses. So now that I see this, I know the struggle was real without this program. I was like, well, if I would have known this was I probably would have spent like 2 days trying to create this like brochure, it was a macro kind of course, and I had to take like population and statistics, and it was tough. This is pretty. It was a pretty layout, and I was like, oh, okay. I'm very intrigued by it. So
I'm a big fan of used templates. There are thousands of templates, and what they're doing is they're basically working with graphic designers and people who they create things, they submit it. There's a template library, so things will always change and be different, but use what's there, because that way you don't have to, put it together on your own, and the spacing is already there. You just change colors and fonts and photos and make it feel like your brand, your organization. And I mean, that's the best possible thing that you can do.
And I wonder if, speaking of what Tabitha was talking about, like creating a brochure, for example, but then maybe she wants to create out of that brochure something that looks similar for social media. Can you show quickly how to change sizes? And I know that's pro.
Yep, that was also one of my.
But you can change. So if you've created something for Instagram, you can change it to be flyer sized. If you also need to make posters pretty easily.
how much is the premium?
That's a good question.
Both of y'all went, at the same time.
Well, so to be honest, I've always used it in organizations that paid for the premium.
Okay.
So you might
It starts
ask,
at $12 or $15 a month.
yeah, and if you prepay it for the year, it's cheaper usually. But you might check to see if there is an account on your campus already, or if your office will pay for it.
I
But
also did not have the premium version for a long time. So I know so many tips and tricks for how to get around not, using a premium feature. So I'm going to show you both the premium version and the free version of how you resize documents.
Okay.
Okay. So, because sometimes you're balling on a budget, right?
And I used a free version for a long time too. And then when I worked at Center, we finally upgraded, and then the compact uses the premium version too. But there are ways to get around if you can't, if there isn't a budget for the premium.
Okay, so there's this resize button in the top, and it has a little crown because it's a premium feature. So this is an Instagram graphic. It's just a square, but I can go in and it'll even tell you how to resize your design. I mean, they do a really good job of providing resources. So I am going to add either a custom size or it will tell you. So maybe I want to do a poster. Boom. I mean, it's already telling me and I know I want it to be 24 by 36, or maybe I want to do a website banner, banner landscape. I mean, it's already here. So let's just come back to poster. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to copy and resize. If you just resize, it's going to take your design and you're only going to have one version. It's going to turn it into a poster. So I'm going to copy and resize. It automatically duplicates, and boom, it puts it together in the best way that it can as a poster. And then now what I need to do is I actually need to adjust it, take this background overlay, pull it back to, and you just fix it. You just, resize. But I mean, it's really simple. But what do you do if you don't have the pro version? So I just go to Canva. I hit create a design. I'm going to do a poster, 24 by 36, same thing, right? But this time it's blank. So then I'm just going to copy and paste. I'm clicking and dragging. I'm off the page, right? I'm just going to click and drag. I'm going to Command C, which is my copy because I'm on a Mac. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to Command V. And boom, there it is. Now it's small. So I'm just going to drag it. I'm going to drag it. Okay, there we go. And oh man, it didn't bring the photo. Darn, you know what? Let's see. Here we go. Let's see if we can copy the photo as well.
I bet the photo is the photo premium. Oh,
No, I mean, it might be, it'll tell you. Premium you can still use. It's just when you try to export, it won't let you. But that's how simple it is. I mean, literally you can copy and paste across documents and across tabs as well. And most people don't know about that. So even if you don't have the premium, that's how easy it is. It, took like 1 or 2 extra clicks.
and I think
Really
that
good skill for me to have in this kind of area, because if there's programs coming up, I could create that, and stuff out. Like, and they'd be like, how'd you learn that? Well, I learned that in America.
yeah, exactly. Well, and I use the resizing all the time. So not as much anymore because most of our stuff is virtual with the compact. But when I worked at Center, so on a college campus, you're often trying to reach students in many different ways, right? Posters, flyers, social media graphics, maybe something, a banner for your website, whatever it is. And it's super easy to then create one design and then adjust it to fit the different sizes you need to be able to get out there and reach your students. And it looks, a lot of people are using Canva now, but it makes it look so professional. It looks, I mean, I'm really great at once I have something set up of adjusting it, but coming like that blank page and trying to come up with ways it's like my worst nightmare. So anyway, I don't think that Marcia just asked if college instructors can get in on the free pro account. Apparently K through 12 is free. I haven't seen anything like that. There may be a nonprofit rate, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll get the rate. Well, I mean, obviously, Marcia, you found the rate thing. I would write to them and find out if there's a reduced rate for college level or education.
I think all you have to do is apply. It says apply now, it's free. And then if they approve you as like a nonprofit, then you can get it, I think, for free.
True. And most of our college campuses, I mean, I think all of them. Kathy jumped off. I needed her to answer a question for me. Not for profit. So most of us have nonprofit status. Most of the all of us are nonprofit. We don't have any for-profit colleges in the compact. So you might be able to just get it. I don't know if it's for each individual or if it's for the campus, but you could find out what.
I'm gonna chat the link so that if anyone's interested, they can go in, they can read about it, potentially sign up.
You probably need to have your nonprofit status, like some form filled out, or the number, your nonprofit number for it would be my guess.
Mhm.
Somebody on your campus would have it. Start asking your supervisors. And if they don't know, they would know who to ask.
Also, Canva now has the ability to do folders, and I would highly recommend that you start to organize your materials within Canva, because as you start to use it, the longer you use it, it's just a giant stuff. So we'll do it by client or by project. All of our brand kits are here, all of our proposals are here. So there's just some organization tools that you can use as well.
Well, Nathan, go.
So if you're doing a collaborative project and you have different logos that might not fit the color scheme or the font, the style, how do you normally navigate that? Because in my experience, it can really clash with like your theme. So what's your strategy?
So usually logos only have to be present in some way, shape, or form on the document, right? So if it's a logo that really clashes with what we're trying to put together, let's make those logos, off to one corner in the top corner or to the side. Something that often happens is if you're trying to show partner logos, and maybe the only partner logos you have, they're not PNGs and they're like a white background or they're a terrible quality, make sure that in the design, there's like a white band at the bottom or the top that's like, I like the bottom, it's like our partners. And then because it's a white background, you can't tell that they're not PNGs or that they're lower quality. So those are kind of some tips and tricks, because it can look really, really bad if you have like your document's all blue, right? And you have this ugly logo that's got this white box around it. So just avoid that and try to, pull it into the design.
Cool, thank you.
Nathan, that's a good point, because the Kentucky Hunger Dialogue, we were having that struggle. We had Fuel NKU, which is like green and yellow and white, and Kentucky Campus Compact, which is like a darker red color. And I feel like
white is your friend. White is your
exactly.
Because everything will look good on white. So make sure that part of the design is just like a little white band, because that's hard to deal with.
That's great. Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, Emma. I owe you something. I'll drop it by sometime. I'll track you down.
I'm actually in Denver right now, so I won't
okay.
be back in Kentucky for a hot minute anyway.
Okay, so. Excellent. You have been all over the place. I saw all your pictures. Were you in Italy recently?
I was in Spain, Italy, and Sweden visiting some friends.
So I got to know Emma way back in the day because she was studying abroad and we were abroad with her. So
it was so cool. And now,
and now she's all over the place.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you, Emma. Feel free to jump off. I think we'll finish up here, and I will. I'll get this recording to you somehow.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
It might take a few days. Give me a few days to get that to you, but I'll get you the recording if you want.
That's totally fine. If you all need anything, Mindy, feel free to share my contact information, my email. I'm a resource, and I would love to be able to help. So
great. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
I'm going to put her email in the chat. She is great. And she really is, when she offers that, she really does mean that. So Okay, so I had asked, but we have turned into a smaller group. If you guys had created anything, if you wanted to do a critique based on what she just talked about, is that something you'd like to do, or do you want to kind of think about this stuff and incorporate it later? How do you guys want to proceed? I want this to be useful for you.
I mean, this is something I can use like whenever I'm advertising like my seminars, you know, upcoming seminars and everything, instead of just using a Word document. I just think it'd be more appealing. So I thought it was really good training. Honestly, I never knew anything about this. So
Great.
Yeah, I'm with her, with Tabitha. I went and I opened it up and I played with it, but I knew nothing. I mean, I never even had heard of it, but I've like I put in there for Emma, I've already shared it out twice during this thing, because I think this is something that I shared it to Faith, but I also shared it out to a K-12 teacher that does all kinds of stuff. And I think I would like to just play with it.
Okay. Something that you guys need to do is, if you're using this and you start becoming more adept at using it, is making sure to add it to your resume. And hopefully later in the year, we will talk about resumes. That's something that I actually, I can do in my sleep. I was a career counselor for many, many years. So we will, when we get closer to the end of the year, we'll talk about how do you, like the skills that you've gained. And I think that something that is, important for you all to do, especially if you are looking for the next opportunity, or you will be in the near future, is start keeping track of these sorts of things, the computer skills. So Canva should go on there. It is a skill and something that takes practice, right? And as you kind of try new things out and learning new things, keep track of those skills, so that at the end of the year, when we start talking about how do you add this experience to your resume, it's not just a line under like recent experience or something like that. It will be under skills. It will be under other areas. So start keeping track of that. And this is definitely one of those things. I put Canva on my resume. It is for those who know what it is, if they can if they have somebody who knows how to use it well, it's a real asset to a team. So Nathan, Cam, and Jake, you all were at the in-person training, and it was your idea to do something like this. Would you like to do a critique of anything you've done, or would you guys just like to kind of talk about other things and go back to any questions you have about any of the announcements or anything?
I have some of my past things. I don't know if it would be, I mean, I don't know what time it is, but if we have time, we could do a critique. I don't know what Jake and Cam think, but yeah, I actually found that really useful, even though like I've used Canva a lot. I feel like 90% of the stuff she was sharing, I was pretty blind to, so that was very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, tearing up. I also have some of my old stuff that I could, upload and do a critique. For me though, I mean, at this job, at this, what I'm doing now, it's mainly for like events, like event planning. So it's just like fun little posters. So it's nothing as like in depth as what she was going through. It's just like silly little things that I could upload to the event page that the school uses. So yeah, I don't know if, I mean, we definitely do a critique, but I don't know if it's super necessary, because it's not like it's just like one word and then silly pictures basically.
I don't know if Cam's there. Nathan, do you want to share one of yours? You can share your screen and we can do a quick one. And maybe that will help us. I think something that I've learned is group editing can be really helpful when something has happened. And you guys are always welcome to reach out to each other, reach out to me. You also have colleagues, obviously. So having people take a look at your design first before putting it out there is really helpful. And even though I've used Canva for many years myself, almost every single time I create something, I give it to somebody else and say, what do you think? Because sometimes you look at it so long that you become immune to some of the issues that might pop up. So this could be a good practice in group editing. We won't call it a critique, we'll call it a group editing, even though it's already been probably used. So Nathan, if you're willing to share, we could do a quick one and then kind of practice that. It's a good skill to have too. Good.
Yeah, I can do that. Let's see. See my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, this is weird. I'm on my phone, so that's why it's an issue, maybe. Share my screen. Broadcast. Okay, it's counting down.
Oh, there we go.
All right, can you see it? So basically there's a memorial that's going in on campus, and folks needed some volunteers to plant, and since I'm in community service, we threw together this Instagram graphic. I just used the photo that they sent out to the entire campus for like the sort of blueprint for the memorial, and then just threw on some flowers from the elements section of Canva. But the fonts, I'm like, my friend always bullies me about like how my font pairing is like almost the same every time, but she's like, it's so boring. It's so like rigid and dry. So maybe we can talk about fonts or something. I don't know.
I think this looks great. I think the one thing I noticed is that you used italics for the first and third lines, right? And so, for me, it doesn't make, my eye is drawn to the bigger one, and the top one I don't see as much. Like it takes effort for me to read that. But I mean, maybe by using the memorial planting or a different, looks like maybe you use similar fonts, right? She was saying to like
my fonts are almost, I think there's like two fonts maybe, and they're bolded. One's bolded more than the other, or
I think the color of the font too. I think if you was to make that garden club in Danville, like maybe like the purple or the pink that's in those flowers, and make it pop a little bit more, and I would be able to see exactly, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really color coordinating kind of person. So when she was talking about those colors, I actually look at colors in my houses to see what kind of collaborates really good. To get, people say all the time I'm good at design and stuff, so I don't know about that. But that's just a woman's view, I guess. That's what only thing I would do, because it is hard to read. It's kind of blending with the background there a little bit. I would just, because you do have really good colors in that, I would just make it more pop to your eyes, but yeah.
I think that's a good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, and mixing the serif and sans serif. So I think hopefully everybody understands the difference between those two. It's not something that's used very often, but sans serif doesn't have little legs and serif has. So Times New Roman has little kind of pedestals and legs and bits to it. Sans serif is what is being used here. It's just plain. So maybe figuring out how to mix that in a little, like having two different types of fonts that way would be really helpful.
I actually had no idea that there was that distinction between, I knew fonts were labeled like that, but I never actually asked the question, what does that mean?
I didn't know until I started doing resume reviews, and my previous boss was older, quite a bit older than me, and they suggested sans serif font for something, and I was like, what is that for a resume? And so it's easier. So I've always read this, and maybe things have changed, but back in when I was learning also some web design, sans serif fonts are easier to read on the screen, and serif fonts are easier to read on paper, if it's printed out. I don't know if that's necessarily the case anymore, because we're used to seeing the combination of those, but computers and technology has changed enough that maybe it's not the same, but that's something that I've always read too. So yeah, the one thing that I mean, I like this design a lot. I like the flower overlay, especially because it makes it interesting. So if you had not put the flower overlay on it, it would have just been kind of boring, but having that yellow flower on the left kind of overlap the two sections kind of brings some interesting texture to something that would have just been kind of, I mean, it would have been fine, but flat maybe.
Flat, yeah, that's what I was thinking. The element function is really helpful. I like obsess over too sometimes finding the perfect match, but like I do find it pretty helpful. And like rotating it, like some of these flowers are just copied and pasted, and I just flip them and put them on the other side. So that's helpful.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Fonts,
It's very eye catching. I think that if I was, walking around and I saw that, I would be really intrigued to read it. But, I always try to think of what would catch my attention, And I read a lot of things on the walls walking through hallways.
Something that I've been doing a lot lately is using QR codes. So maybe Nathan, for this, you didn't have a place to go. You're still sharing your screen.
Oh.
Do you want to?
that's fine.
If you want to stop, you can either you can stop if you want. And I don't think in this case, you're just trying to get people to meet outside of the Norton Center. So that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you were trying to get people to register for something or send them someplace, something that I've been using a lot is QR codes for printed posters. But I always put both, like try to put the regular URL somewhere and the QR code in case somebody's not looking at it with their phone or something, but the QR codes, and there are free QR code makers out there that you can put on there. So I don't know. I mean, do you all use QR codes? Like, do you scan them when you see them?
I definitely do. Yeah. On a poster or TV or even my laptop. When I send things out to students, sometimes like like Emma talked about, just reformat the poster graphic and put it in an email. Some people have been like, I can't scan a QR code on my phone with my phone. Like, yeah. So you oftentimes have to remember to provide or something like that. But
and something you can do with QR codes. So when you make it, they're always black and white. But when you get them into Canva, you can do that color changing. So once you put the image in there, you can change it to something that matches your scheme instead of having to have that stark black and white, which is something I've learned recently. Hey, Erica, it's nice to see you.
Here's my QR code that I use for questionnaires, like when people are doing applications. So it's like centered, like you can change your label on it. And when I come to find out, my younger cousin told me that if you're doing a QR code with like the dots, it doesn't really detect it. So you really need the squarey like ones. And I was like, no wonder my phone wasn't even picking it up, when I had dots, because I thought, oh, that looked really cute. And she was like, your phone just can't read that. So I was like, oh, well, thank you for your young savvy mind.
Okay, well, thank you, Nathan, for being willing to throw yours out there. We can continue this conversation however you want. We are working on a schedule for our professional development trainings for the future. It's going to be the first Wednesday of every month, and I'll send something out soon with next month's. But we might be combining, or we will be combining with the high school level coaches in when they are doing trainings that are relevant to both groups. So their training was not going to be relevant to you all. So we wanted to provide something else. So I'll continue sharing that. And once we have a kind of a schedule down, I'll send that out so you can get it all on your calendar.
Mention the high school coaches. See, like today, it really would have benefit to have the high school coach and me in the same place, because I'm advertising for AmeriCorps, and I'm the one doing these tours. But then if we had them to, because so many of these little students were asking a lot of questions that really needs more time, like they need more one-on-one time.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that would just be a good connection. So
we are trying. But today had a very specific thing that they needed to do that had literally nothing to do with anything the college level coaches. So we are trying to get you together. I know that Nathan, Jake, and Cam, who were able to go to the in-person event, I feel like you guys were able to connect pretty well with coaches there. Hopefully at Serve Kentucky, if you're able to go to the launch, that's another place where we could meet in person. And I want to share, we included the Kentucky or the, hold on. I'm not going to share right now. We included the list of the ambassador groups in the newsletter. The ambassador groups are based loosely on region. And so I think that you all have your names on there, or you can see the regions people are in. Give me 1 second. So you are more than welcome to reach out to anybody in your region if that's helpful or beyond that. And I'm trying to find, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and show you how to get to this space. So see. So if you are on the Kentucky Campus Compact website, so it's kycompact.org, you go up to KCC resources, that's for you all. And so there's high school level resources and college level resources. If there are resources that you feel like I should be sharing here, send them to me that you think that might be helpful for other people. We can add them. Right now, there's a link to America Learns. If you have not been putting in your time cards, please do so. I will be bugging you next week when I follow up to make sure people have been doing that. But the college level Google Drive is right here. And then when you go to that, there are some resources here. If you go to KCC info and contacts, I believe my computer is being slow today. Well, it's not there. There should be somewhere in here the ambassador teams list. I will make a note to make sure. I don't know why it's not in there anymore. We have been rearranging some things and maybe somebody messed with it. Hold on, I'm taking it out. Okay, I will get that to you, but there is a list that you should be able to access and it will be in there so that you can see, and it has everybody's name. And there is a list of all of the coaches, including you all, the high school and college level coaches, and the contact information. So if there's somebody at a particular school you want to get in touch with, or a group of schools, feel free to reach out. And Tabitha knows this, but one of our goals this year is to try to more intentionally connect you all to the high school coaches, especially to help with admissions related things or transfer or whatever that looks like for you all. But we are still working out how that will work. I am also creating for our high school coaches a list of all of the admissions contacts at the different colleges so that they can reach out. But I am also listing if you are at one of those schools, so admissions, like the admissions contact, I'll also say like Nathan's at center so that they know if they need a friendly face that they already know or should already know, then they can reach out to Nathan before reaching out to admissions or in conjunction with that or something. So we're working on trying to get that together, but there are a lot of colleges in Kentucky to track that information down for. So, okay. Marcia says Marcia's a returner. Erica's a returner too. I think that, and Marcia mentioned that last year there wasn't as much from the high school trainings that applied to the college people. And we are working on that. That's why we're doing separate ones here. And then when they can combine. So one of the things we want to do is communication, something around communication. So when that happens, then we'll probably all do it as a big group. But if they're going to focus on filling out the FAFSA, most of you don't need to work with that as much. And so that just is an hour and a half. That's not relevant to you all. So we're trying to figure out which ones are relevant to you all and which ones aren't, and combine or separate when necessary. Okay, so we have just 5 more minutes. Any questions about the Serve Kentucky launch? Erica, I need to double check with you. Are you going to need to leave before 8 or not for on Wednesday? Do you need that hotel room the night before or not?
I wanted to head out that way on the 25th.
Uh-huh.
I don't get off work until 4:30, so I would need a hotel for that night to stay, but you keep saying 8 a.m. and I don't get off until 4 p.m. So I want to be there the night before.
Okay, I will double check. I mean, I think you're far enough away. How long is that drive?
3.5 hours, almost 4 hours.
Okay, we'll just put you down for the night before.
And what time do we need to be there again?
So let me pull that up. So the first session on Wednesday starts at 12:15. That's the welcome, keynote, and lunch. Registration opens at 11. So there's sign-in, selfies, and networking from 11 to 12:15. You would need to be there. I would say you'd need to be there by 11:45-ish to make sure you can register, check in. If you don't want to do selfies and networking at that time, that's fine. Although it's a great time to meet other people and see what they're doing. But I would say 11:45 at the latest so that you can register and be ready to start. And then it ends on Thursday at 4 o'clock, I believe. So
the 28th on my calendar.
no, it's the 26th and 27th.
Okay.
And Erica, I think you popped in late, so I'm gonna give you the link. This link that I just put in has the agenda and the registration link. So we need everybody to register individually. So please do that today if you have a chance. When you register, you're going to have to choose the sessions you want to go to. They have, thankfully, when I registered, they didn't have the session descriptions. I just had to go based on the titles. But if you scroll down a little bit, there are there's some session descriptions. So make sure you register for that if you're going. I think I have everybody's RSVP except for Kathy, who jumped out already. So I'll try to reach out to her. Yeah, and then I'll get to see some of you in person. Erica and Marcia, I've seen you online, but never in person. So I look forward to that. Well, no, Marcia, you're not coming. I don't know if I'll be coming out to see you soon because you have a new coach at West Kentucky, and I want to do a little orientation with her. So hopefully sometime in October, I will be heading out there. I'll coordinate with you so we can meet in person as well.
I'm not just skipping out. I bought plane tickets to go to my daughter's. I bought them in June, and I'm flying on the 26th, and I won't be back home until the 5th. I will be with you in thoughts.
Excellent. So I do want to remind you about ordering the gear. Erica, you missed that too. It's in the newsletter. Hopefully you got the newsletter, but I'm going to put the link for you again in here.
Order new gear. I saw the link where we had $70. I spent that $70.
This right now, so we had one over the summer and we're doing a new one now.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. You get more gear. Yes, exactly. So if you ordered before August 1st, because you were a summer AmeriCorps member or from last year, this is a new round. You get to order again if you'd like to, up to $70. So do that. Today's the deadline, so go do it.
Where's the link?
I just put it in the chat.
Got it.
So I put the registration page for launch and ordering gear. Don't forget about mini grants. If you need business cards, please email me and we will get those ordered for you. And then don't forget about alternative service break grant. And Nathan, if you have a second after this, let me make sure that I'm yeah, if you have a second after this, you mentioned this fall break being helped by the compact, but I don't have record of that. So I want to make sure that we are on the same page because I
Yeah.
run that money.
Okay, yeah, let's talk.
Okay.
I also quickly want to ask you, I don't see the newsletter. This was in an email, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It would have come from, let's see.
Kyle?
No, I think it would have looked like it came from Kentucky Campus Compact.
Okay.
And I think it's called the Coach's Corner. So maybe it could have gone to spam, or it could have, I don't know. If you search for
Investigate, yeah.
Yeah, let me know if you didn't look in spam. If you didn't get it, then let me know and I will check to see what's going on. It is coming through Constant Contact. And so that it may look like it's coming through. It might be going to spam.
Okay.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Do we only get one ABS per service year?
You mean the alternative service break money? Not necessarily, though. We would, yeah, I think that in your case, you guys didn't ask for a huge amount, so we would definitely look at a second one. There are some schools who are getting a lot more than that, and so if that were the case, we would wait to see what other things.
My second one is going to require a charter bus, so I'm going to be requesting a lot more money than I did the first time.
Okay, yeah, send it in, and don't forget, I sent you the information on how to request your reimbursement and to do that post event survey. Don't forget to do that. And we would definitely welcome applications for Western Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky disaster relief efforts. We definitely have extra money for that. And I have been promised $20,000 extra for the state, and possibly more. If we use that, we could ask for more.
Okay.
So I got a call from the person running that the other day saying, have we had any bites? And I said, not yet, but I know they're out there. So he is anxious for us to spend that money. So please, please, please apply.
That's what the second one is centered around, going to help with disaster relief, cleanup funds, beautification, stuff like that.
100% apply for it.
The team right now.
Yep. Apply for that.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I am conscious that we are 3 minutes over. Thank you all so much. If you have not been turning in time cards, please do so. I think that's all I have. You know how to reach me if you have any questions, comments, and I will be doing site visits over the next few months. It's going to be a little slower going with Kyle leaving. I'm taking on a lot of his work, so I'm doing 2 jobs. So I was hoping to do a lot of site visits this month and next month, but I will try to do them as my time allows. We'll see, but I will reach out to you and hopefully set those up relatively soon. Okay, it's nice to see everybody.
Thank you.
And Nathan, you stay on with me.
Yeah, I'm here forever.